I've always known that.
Drop the gun and get on the ground.
Hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Suds in the Squared Circle podcast. I am Vinny Apsella, joined by my co-host, Christy. How are you today, Christy?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I want to say, first of all, it's been a 2-week vacation for us. First, I went on vacation, then Christy went on vacation, and now we're back without any vacations in the foreseeable future. But we are back today, talking about all things happening in Port Charles. I'll touch on some WWE news as well. We also want to make sure to point out that the Sudsy Awards are next Sunday, the 30th. We'll have that posted to our main feed, considering that is we are the ones that are basically putting the Sudsy Awards together. And but you will definitely have some cameos. Christy's going to present a couple of awards. We are having special guests on there as well. Matt and Kat from 10th Floor Podcast. Also, Max Updates GH is going to come on and give out some awards as well. So it's going to be a good thing. Unfortunately, Ring the Bell Radio and Pier 54 have decided they didn't want to participate just due to their schedules and everything. So that's fine. Next year, it'll be a little bit more organized. This year was kind of just a last minute thing, considering the daytime Emmy Awards not being on because of the writer strike. And then there haven't been really Slammy Awards in a while either. So I decided to combine them two. Next year, it's going to be a little different. We got into a little bit of hot water with the Twitter polls that we did. Now, that just represents a portion of the audience. That does not necessarily mean that who won the Twitter polls is going to actually go on to win the award. We collectively are choosing the award winners. We were just kind of gauging what the audience thought. It'll be different next year. But anyways, let's kind of get on. Christy, how was your 2 weeks over the last couple weeks?
It was good. Went on a little vacation. Managed to catch up with some GH stuff. So, yeah, I think I'm ready to talk about it.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear it. I actually binged all of not this past week, the week before. I binged it all on Saturday when I got back from my vacation as well. So,
nice.
Got everything squared together. A lot to go over. We did see that the biggest. One of the biggest news stories that came out of Port Charles is at the end of last Friday's episode, there was a shooting at the Metro Court pool. And then we found out on Monday that it was Curtis that was hit in the back from a ricocheted bullet. And that's kind of where we will start is his drama throughout the week, being in the hospital, going through surgery. And then we found out on Friday's episode that he could wind up a paraplegic.
Right.
Judging by the people on Facebook that I've seen, actually, I was in the chat room earlier for the 10th Floor's podcast during their taping, and a lot of people were saying that this could be karma for Curtis. Now, when we talked last, you said that you weren't a big fan of Curtis.
I mean, I'm not. I'm sorry. It's very hard for me to find sympathy for him. Like, my friends and I were talking about this, and it's like, okay, so I guess if you get shot, that fixes all your marital problems, right?
Right,
So,
yeah.
In the world of Port Charles, it does.
Apparently, yeah. Because, now, Curtis wants to make things up with Portia and saying, you know, I was coming there to see you to say something, you know, that we just don't have all the time to keep fighting and let's work on this, you know. So he said that on Friday from his hospital bed, you know, and my thought was, now we still don't know who the shooter was. We do know that Anna got into the room after the SWAT team checked it and didn't find anything. But then Anna moved the couch and found the gun, and apparently they found out that it was a WSB issued gun. So what do you think? Where do you think they're going to go with the storyline? Who do you think was the target?
I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure because it's all a little like random to me that this random shooting happened in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really have any like speculation on that per se, but I'm interested to find out maybe who it was and why it happened. What do you think? Who do you think was the target?
Well, I have a couple of theories. The theories that the General Hospital characters in Port Charles are saying that it was either targeted at Anna or Sonny.
Right.
That it was a WSB gun.
That makes sense.
You know, people are thinking that it was Anna, that, you know, she was burned by the WSB, so now they're trying to take her out.
Don't take out Anna. You can't take out Anna though because she's so legendary. Like you just can't.
I she is a legacy character, and especially with the fact that she was interjected in the Lucy story that we'll get to later, talking to her old Pine Valley friend Jackson Montgomery. But my thought was, okay, so here's a twist. They've shown the scenes where Taggart has been drinking, you know, after finding out that Trina was Curtis's daughter,
Yeah,
and Taggart's been drinking. He has WSB connections. What if, you know, he's gotten to a really dark place and he's the one that shot and Curtis actually was the target?
I mean, it could be anything's possible. I'm sorry, but I'm not sad that Curtis was the target. I'm sorry. I have no sympathy for that guy. I'm sorry. It's like, okay. Sorry, Curtis.
I think that would give Rael Andrews a good story to think
it does, though. Yeah. Like, actually, when I saw Taggart drinking, I was like, I knew they were going to give him a drinking problem. I called it. And my friends were like, well, he's not on often enough for them to really give him a storyline with that. And maybe not. Maybe it'll just be like this casual sip here or there, and we'll see him like adding, you know, alcohol to his coffee or whatever. But I mean, I kind of knew that was like coming. So I really do hope we see Rael more on screen too, because I really enjoy what he brings to the table as Taggart.
Oh, I do too. I really like Rael Andrews, and you know, he's a really down to earth guy too. 10th, not 10th floor, Pier 54 actually did an interview with Rael Andrews.
Yeah. I interviewed him too, so I know firsthand. Yeah, he's great.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I would really like to see him more. And the wrinkle to that story is Jordan wants him to become the commissioner of the PCPD now that she's deputy mayor. So that would add more of a wrinkle if he was the one that fell off the deep end and you know, ended up going after Curtis. I that was just my brainstorm. I don't know if that's how they're going to play it. I don't even know if Rael Andrews is available that much in order to do a meaty storyline like that. But Curtis, unfortunately, is not fighting for his life anymore. But you know, now he's faced the problem about not having feeling with his legs. And I'm kind of putting this out there as almost a question in society now. We know that, for example, with Leo, who's autistic, they wanted to bring on an actual actor, a child actor that is autistic to keep the representation there. For somebody to be playing a paraplegic now, you know, supposedly, how would that be? Do they have to recast Curtis? That, you know, instead of kind of so they don't kind of slap somebody in the face who is an actor who happens to be paraplegic.
Necessarily think so. I think there's a way you can do it where the actor will do their, research to portray that properly, and hopefully GH would do their own, obviously, research
Right.
in order to make sure they got their facts straight with that. I don't think so. From what I can see, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm like blanking on the name of the guy who plays Curtis. So
Donnell Turner.
Forgive me, listeners, Donnell. So Donnell, I could see, was really going for his like Emmy reel during those scenes where he's having the dreams of his mom, like basically saying, "No, stay with me," and like die, basically. And like,
yeah,
like I don't think he's gonna do that, but he was really going for it. So I mean, I'm pretty sure he's gonna stay on the show, and I'm sure he will do, all due respect to those who like actually deal with those issues, and I think they can do their research and play it right.
Right. Oh yeah, I have a feeling that'll be the case as well. Now one of the running theories that I've heard of, because as you brought up the dream sequence that Curtis was talking with his mother in the field, who has passed away, and she had made mention of his brother Tommy, who was, I guess, working on the cars on off screen. And the choice Curtis had was either go to Tommy and stay in heaven, or go the other way and go back to Earth, to stay alive. So some of the theories that I've heard is maybe they're looking to cast Tommy, and Tommy was never killed in that friendly fire with Sean after the cheating situation with Jordan. Going back into the storyline of that, because they never actually showed Tommy on screen being dead. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know where that's going, but it's always a possibility. Port Charles has done some crazy surprises recently.
Yes, they have. So that could literally go anywhere.
It can. All right. So tell me, what was your takeaway from this week? What was your favorite storyline from this week?
My favorite storyline?
Yes.
Okay, so since we last talked in the last 2 weeks, I have found GH to be a bit on the boring side again. They haven't really had a lot of those episodes that got me like really interested.
Yep.
But I have enjoyed, I did enjoy Ava telling Nina that she slept with Austin. I actually really like that.
Okay.
And I'm not like a huge fan of the friendship, so I'm like, really, like, Ava, you can do better than Nina as a friend.
Right.
But I'm not a big Nina fan, so I don't really care if anyone's her friend in the first place. But but I mean, I do really enjoy just the fact that she talked about it, and like that was really great. Let's see, some other scenes I really did like were I always enjoy the pool scenes with the younger set with Spencer and Dex and Josh and Trina. I always really enjoy those scenes together. I have been like, I don't know if you wanted to use the word converted, but to a Dex and Josh fan. Now, at first I thought it for a really long time. Believe me, I'm a liaison fan, and I was like gunning for my boy Cam. I'm like, man, like she did him so wrong. But I mean, I can see they have progressed that relationship to the point where they are like in love now. And they gave them the big montage, which I really enjoyed. So it's like, they're invested in them as a couple, right? So either you kind of have to accept it or you don't. Is how I see it. So I really enjoy their scenes, honestly. I actually do enjoy their scenes. I've gotten to the point where I really enjoy their scenes. Trying to look over my notes here because I'm just like, there was so much in the last 2 weeks that we have to cover. I want to see more Taggart because I think there's a lot to play in that story if they really give away all that material. I think Chaylin is a big highlight for me as well. Is they finally had Chase and Brooklyn say "I love you," and I totally didn't expect that to happen. Actually, like when it happened, I was just sitting there like, "Oh my god, it happened!" Like, because my expectations for them had become so low because the writing for them has just like gone downhill since the Bailey storyline that I'm just like, whatever. I expect crumbs. I get crumbs. It's fine.
Yeah.
So when they did have their I love you scene, I was like, oh my God. Like, okay. So Chase has officially made up for the fact that he was acting like an asshole for like a long time and being very cruel to Brooklyn. Like, you made up for it. You made up for it, Chase. I get it. It's fine. Now, just as long as you treat my girl like a queen and you accept her like who she is, and you don't try to like judge her on your moral high ground, then we're cool. Because
And he said that. He said that he basically said that in that scene, that he's always been the kind of person by the book. So, it's okay to veer off a little bit, and knowing that Brooklyn does have that tendency to scheme and whatever, that he happens to find that as kind of the yin to his yang, and that balance there. And I happen to enjoy it because I think the catalyst for that entire scene was when Tracy when Brooke, as the scene of the pool, because obviously they said I love you outside of the Quartermain household afterwards, but it was a scene at the pool where Chase came in and Brooklyn kind of said, everything that Tracy was the one that got the people into the room for the second meeting, and how she's been hiding all this for her, whatever, and from him. And then he goes to leave and then comes back and gives her this big, really intense kiss, that I was even shocked by. I was not expecting that.
Yeah. When he turned back and gave her that kiss, I was like, oh,
yeah.
I think it's on my top 3 favorite Shaylin kisses list, because that was really good. I really thought about this since their big I love you happened, and I think all of their a lot of their major moments and really special moments have happened at the Quartermain house. So the first time they made love happened at the Quartermain house.
Right.
So it makes sense that it would happen there, and then we had those scenes by the pool. And my thing with Shaylin though too is they didn't really let them get a honeymoon period.
Right.
They just immediately Link was gone. It's like, okay, now we have to give them some other kind of conflict. So insert Tracy. But I would much rather have Tracy be the conflict than some sexual abuser guy that was tormenting her for so long in her life. I would much rather it be Tracy.
Yeah.
And I have come to really love Tracy before. I just found her kind of annoying. But now I really love her, and she's really good with the comedic bits. And I mean, come on, it's Jane Elliott, right? Jane Elliott, that's her name.
Yeah.
She's amazing. So it's great to have her on screen again. It's reviving the Quartermain family. I love that whole conflict, and I love that Brooklyn finally told Tracy, no, I'm not going to spy for you anymore, and that's it. And you can't get me to do it, and you better have another way to do your agenda. So I really loved that, and I do actually, as heartbreaking as it is to see Olivia go through this, I love the Olivia and Ned, and the Ned being an amnesiac, thinking he's Eddie Main. It's kind of corny, silly, crazy as I thought that was at first. It's really, they are really playing the beats there, and Olivia is really going through it. So she's going for her Emmy too. Lisa's going for her Emmy too in that respect. So I am really, those were really the highlights for me, is the Shaylin and the Quartermains, and I do like Dax, Jax, we call them, or Jax and Jocelyn. So those are those were really the highlights for me, and I'm really looking to see where that develops. There's some other things that are kind of I don't care for the Sona stuff. I don't care for this Cody, Sasha stuff. I feel really bad for Sasha though, because the girl keeps just going through trial after trial after trial.
Yeah.
So I mean, how many more trials are you going to put this girl through? Geez, let her have some peace for a while and just enjoy being sane,
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I want to back up a little bit to what you were saying about Tracy coming back. I think she has been one of the best, most entertaining parts of the past, couple months since she's been back, and she's given it her all. I was watching, I forget what episode it was this past week, maybe Thursday, when Ned was or Eddie was out on the out on the street playing the guitar, and the guy comes over and wants to play grunge, and Tracy had two of the best one-liners in history. When she told the kid, "Oh, go embarrass your family somewhere else, or go embarrass your parents somewhere else." And then there was one other that she said as well, and she has been interjecting a lot of humor and entertainment into it, and it just goes to show you she's a veteran. She kind of moved from that. She's still got her main storylines and her main character traits that she's always had, but now she's kind of moved into that realm of, I know I'm here to support the newer talent, so this is what I'm going to do to put them over. Kind of going back to, kind of switching gears now to kind of the wrestling side, is almost like a Jerry the King Lawler, being, one of the Hall of Fame wrestlers from Memphis in his day. He's the one that, had the major feud with Andy Kaufman, and, just championship wrestler. And then in the 90s, transitioning into being a color commentator on WWE, and just, he was more entertaining, and I think had a bigger career as a commentator than a wrestler in, when certain generations look at him. And I think that's where Jane Elliott is right now. She knows that her prime is past. Now she's there to support the newer talent and kind of give them the rub and give them the lift up. And with Chase in Brooklyn, and even now, even though Wally Kurth does not need to be pushed up anymore, he himself is a veteran actor as well. But this entire storyline, I think, with the Eddie Main, is going to end up being centered around Chase in Brooklyn.
I'm all for it, because the thing is with Chase in Brooklyn is, like, I think I said this last time, is they would have scenes, and then it might be another 2 weeks, and then they'll have a scene or two, and then it'll be like another week or 2 weeks. It's usually a week, maybe 2 weeks. They're on once or twice a week, and I'm like, I want to see them on more.
Right.
So hoping that Eddie Main's storyline really does bring them more to the forefront.
And I think it will. I think I would love to see Brooklyn kind of, reopen. I don't know much about L&B Records because I was not watching General Hospital back at that point. But I would love to see Brooklyn say, Eddie, I run my own record company. And if she has Sonny's backing, to do that, because that's her true calling, is to be a record, a record producer, music producer. Because clearly she can't sing anymore because of the throat slashing from Heather. Was it Heather? No. Sorry. One crazier than the other. But I mean, there have been rumors that Rena Sofer might be on her way back as Lois, but with the writer's strike here, and the SAG strike, even though the SAG strike doesn't affect soap opera stars, who knows how it's going to affect it. But I'm anxious to see how that storyline is going to progress. And again, when will Eddie come back as Ned? When will, there's so many questions, and I like the questions that we're seeing. Go on, you were about to say something?
No.
Oh, okay. You brought up the Sasha and Cody storyline on Thursday's episode. This past Thursday's episode, Sasha mistook Cody for Cyrus and went over and stabbed him with a paring knife. It was like Sharon Stone style. That's how crazy that was. I feel bad for Sasha myself. I think Sasha's getting just all this stuff piled on her. Now I know she's leaving for a little while for maternity leave, I believe. So that's why they're doing this. Put her in I think it's Shady Brook. That's the
probably yeah. I would
the mental hospital or whatever.
Psychiatric unit.
Right. So that's where she's going to be going for a while in storyline, to take some time off to spend with her new baby. But from what I heard, she actually filmed those scenes after she gave birth. So maybe she's just taking a delayed maternity leave because of, they knew they were going on hiatus for a month, and then with the writer's strike happening. I feel bad for Cody. Cody has grown on me. I liked Cody as Cutter on One Life to Live, and then when he came in, I thought that it could have been better for him to be Cutter. But the Cody character, after we started to see him working with Miss Wu, and to see him, his other side where he's a horse trainer and he's bonding with Leo with the horses, and then I really think that the Cody character really hit a dead end when Britt left, because Cody and Britt were together. They were working on that storyline about whether they will or won't they, but then Britt left, and that kind of was a whole chain reaction from Steve Burton leaving, because Britt only stayed on because she was going to have a storyline with Steve Burton as Jason, or Kelly Tebow, I should say, stayed on as Britt. But then when Steve Burton was let go because of the COVID vaccine stuff, and then and then Cody came in, so it was just a whole mess of just starts and stops. And I think we finally got a place now where I know Sasha is unfortunately the sacrificial lamb in the storyline, but I know the storyline is more between Gladys and Cody.
Yeah, I think GH has kind of finally figured out what they're doing with this Cody character, because for a while it was like,
right.
I didn't really feel any kind of sympathy or anything towards him. It just seemed like this big gold digger, like, I'm here to like steal money from someone or get money somehow from someone. And I was just like, this is not appealing on any level whatsoever.
Right.
But he's grown on me. He made some major points when Sasha had that ordeal where they were trying to get her to freak out on what that person heart or whatever show it was.
Yep.
And he literally is like, well, I'm going to start stripping and like go on air or something if you don't like stop what you're doing. So he earned some points there, and the fact that he really does genuinely seem to care about Sasha has gotten some points, and his scenes with Leo, yes, they're heartwarming. So that's definitely helped. Mm-hmm. I'm still not a Cody fan, but he definitely earned some points in that regard.
Is it the Cody character or Josh Kelly himself that you're not a fan of? And the reason
Cody, it's Cody. Let me be clear. Okay. I don't hold anything against the actor. I always know the difference between real and real, like R-E-L and R-E-A-L.
Right.
Like, and unfortunately, a lot of fans can't make that distinction.
And that's true.
And I know that distinction, so I get it. I never really like fault an actor for like anything, because a lot of that goes under how they write it or how they direct it, or how that's portrayed on screen maybe had nothing to do with them. Like, they're just trying to do a job that they were hired for, and a lot of times they have to like act the heck out of material that is just really bad material.
Right. Yeah. No, the only reason why I asked is because I know when Josh Kelly got on, there was he got a lot of heat for the way he got on, by contacting Frank Valentini, who was the executive producer of One Life to Live. So he just basically said, hey, do you have a job? And that's why they brought Cody in.
I get it, because that seems to be how a bunch of the actors that maybe got a job on GH is because they're friends with Frank, and good for them because they got a job on GH.
Right.
But I mean, in these days, can you really fault someone? Like, if you're really looking for a steady, regular gig in this economy, can you really fault someone? Because like, it's hard out here. Like, it's too expensive to live these days. Inflation.
Yeah, you're not kidding. And that's that's kind of like one of the things that So here's my thing, and I'm going to kind of move off the General Hospital storylines for a while. First off, I did hear, actually on 10th floor, that starting Tuesday the 25th is when we're going to start seeing the shows that were written by the FICOR writers, which are the the non-union writers. So as you all know, the WGA, the Writers Guild of America, is on strike currently. And it's amazing because now with SAG-AFTRA on strike as well, it brings into the forefront of the fact that there's millions, there's not million, I don't want to say millions, but hundreds of people that are not working right now. Granted, it's on their own choice, but it's for a reason. I'm not somebody who's very big, and I don't support a lot of unions because of the fact that I feel like you get paid based on your work ethic, on your merit. With that said, that goes for like retail, for hospitality, for certain jobs where you get paid hourly or salary based on your work ethic. That's where I don't feel unions have a place. However, actors, writers, directors, even wrestlers, even though there's no union, they are independent contractors. They have to make a certain amount of money to live, and they have to, especially with the writers now and the actors as well. We're in a new frontier of entertainment at this point with streaming. Where are they getting royalties based on their work that they put into other shows that are streaming, and being able to be repeated on and on and on? What is that kind of that algorithm of where somebody's going to get paid 30 cents because an episode of whatever they wrote in the past is being played over and over again? I myself, I could vouch for the fact that between my wife and I, we watch Big Bang Theory at night and just have that on repeat, or Good Eats on from Alton Brown. So did those plays get put into that the royalties that people are getting? That's all stuff that has to be worked out, because like I said, we are in a new frontier of entertainment. So yeah, writers, actors, directors, they need to be paid based upon what they're worth. Bob Iger, who is the CEO of Disney right now, came up with a really controversial statement, almost saying that all the actors and writers are replaceable. Granted, we're seeing it on GH. We're going to have non-union writers writing the show, but when you devote your life to a career and you're living based on that, you get to a point where the work stoppage, whether it's good or bad, for a good or bad reason, is going to affect your life. I guess at this point, I don't know, maybe that's a controversial take. But I feel that you should be working to earn your keep, but you also need to, there needs to be some kind of happy medium there.
I mean, I understand the strikes and the need for unions, because sometimes you need that in order for like certain corporations to like do what they should be doing for their employees. Mm-hmm. And I can say that as a former person who's worked in retail at a bunch of different retail jobs, most recently Target. I will say, like, my first raise there after 6 months was like, let's just say it was offensive. I won't say what it was exactly, but it was offensive. So it was like petty. It was like nothing. So I will say in that regard, like, everyone I think deserves to make a living wage, and they could stay at their job based on their work ethic. And I went through a lot. You have to be a certain kind of person to work in retail. Like, you have to, you kind of have to like people on some level.
Yeah.
And the same goes for hospitality if you work in a restaurant, because I've also worked in a restaurant. And you have to just have some kind of like ability to just let things fall off your shoulders and like really have a high level of putting up with BS.
Yeah.
Like, you really do.
I can attest to that. I'm in hotel management, so I can attest to that, putting up with people. And, but I also don't feel that hotel management or hotel hospitality in general needs a union. But that's a debate for another time. In terms of the Writers Guild, I want to see them get back to work, but I'm willing to see how the non-union writers do it. Maybe they'll do better with the storylines, and make things a little bit more interesting in Port Charles. But again, who knows what's coming down from above? We know that Frank Valentini is the head honcho. He's the one that's making all the calls. He's the Vince McMahon, so to speak, of General Hospital. So who knows? Maybe the writers are writing stuff and he's saying, no, I don't like that, or doesn't work for me, pal. So it's something that remains to be seen how the writing's going to be changed over the next number of months. So I'm looking forward to it. I really am. No disrespect to the writers. I support their cause, but let's see if there's a shakeup and let's see how that goes.
I mean, I didn't mind the scab writers they had, 2007, 2008 with Garen Wolf, because I think Garen Wolf is a Liaison fan, so I kind of liked what he wrote at the time. I mean, some people didn't like it, but I mean, I liked it. So, I mean, I'm open to the scab writing. You got to do what you got to do, and soaps keep the ball rolling with the scab writers. So if we didn't have them, we wouldn't have a show.
I wouldn't mind seeing Vince Russo write an episode or two of General Hospital. For you wrestling fans out there, you know who I'm talking about, and you know why I said that. As a matter of fact, I'll kind of put it out there. You remember a couple years ago when Oscar passed away, and that episode where he's got a miracle cure, and they kind of showed in the future about him and Joss or whatever. They had the party at Charlie's pub, and there was a miracle cure. He woke up, he was fine, and then at the very end of the episode, Edward and Lila come and say, "Hey, it's time to go." That's the kind of that swerve is what Vince Russo is known for, where it kind of brings you to a point, and then all of a sudden it kind of cuts you off at the knees, and it's like, nope, we're going in this direction. So that I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I wish GH was a little bit more like that and kind of kept you on your toes and gave you some surprises like that. And it's the thing with GH is, though, it's just very weird for me. Is sometimes I'll be like super into the writing and I think it'll be fantastic, and then there's other times where I'm like, what are you guys doing in the writing room? Like, what's happening here? I could have gave you some ideas.
Right. So with all the stuff going on, so just kind of tying up a couple of loose ends with Sasha stabbing Cody on Friday. We saw that Diane was hired to represent Cody, but before that, but before that, Sasha was being interviewed by Dr. Montague, the psychiatrist that's kind of in cahoots with Gladys, who gave Sasha the medication, antidepressants. And there's a couple of inconsistencies, at least from what I see. First of all, the doctor gave Sasha the medication himself instead of going through the pharmacy. So I know that there are doctors that do give out samples when you can't afford it. But Sasha, being the face of deception, I'm sure she can go through money herself, and pay for the bills. That to me was a little sketchy. Like he didn't want to put it on the books.
Yeah, that's a little weird. That makes me think something else is going on behind the scenes.
So with that, and then Gladys being so hell-bent on, Dr. Montague being the one to question her, and then because he was the one that went to Gladys and said, "Hey, I could help you with your, I could help pay off your tab with Miss Wu, but now you're gonna have to do something for me." So to me, that was a kind of weird. Why is he gunning for Sasha? Like, I would like to see that as the why. Like, we see now that that Dr. Montague is the one that's helping Gladys keep the guardianship over Sasha. But the question is why? Like, what's in it for him? So he's questioning Sasha. He's recording it. And then Diane comes in and kind of cuts that off and says, "Hey, you know, you don't have any right to record that. Turn off the recording device, Sasha. No more words." And then uh, they end up showing the scene with Robert and Diane and working together to protect Sasha. So again, this is going to be a storyline that's going to incorporate a couple of different characters now. Maxie's involved, Gladys is involved, Lucy's probably going to be involved because it has to do with deception. Dr. Montague, Robert, Diane. So let's see where it goes. Let's see what Dr. Montague has in store for Sasha. But I've also heard rumbles that Gladys is on her way out.
I would not be opposed to that purely because Gladys is on my hit list. I don't care for Gladys. I'm sorry. I have like 10 characters I could come up with right now that could lead GH, and I would not shed a tear. And I'm sorry, but Gladys is one of them. No offense to the actors, like they're great. I just don't care for the character.
I think Bonnie Burrows is really nailing the Gladys character. She really is the biggest heel, in my opinion, on General Hospital right now. They say everybody can be redeemed, and there are times where you see Gladys like she's getting that redemption storyline. She's getting that point, but then she does something like her gambling, is really showing. Her gambling addiction showed for a while. Now, the fact that she's willing to sacrifice Sasha's mental health and well-being and could have potentially killed Cody in the process, to me, that's showing just how desperate she is to maintain her status, her living above her means.
Right. Like I think she definitely wants to live above her means. She's not doing the Dave Ramsey. Definitely
Right.
getting familiar with Dave Ramsey. Like, you're not supposed to do that, Gladys. Like, you're supposed to just live within your means. But I think we're all guilty of that at some point. I always buy stuff that I don't need, that I should buy, and I don't really have the money for, and you go on the charge card, and So I get it to some extent, but I don't have a gambling addiction. So it's just that's Gladys for you. That's one of her character flaws. Is the gambling addiction, and she wants to keep control of Sasha's estate because she wants the money for herself. So it is what it is, and I really want Sasha to realize when she's in, of course, a sane place of mind, that Gladys is not doing things for her like she should be. Like, Gladys is in it for the money, and it's not in it really because she really cares that much about. I think she cares about Sasha to an extent, but I just feel like she's a little bit more concerned about the paycheck than anything.
Yeah, and I think she's the kind of person. I think if I were to psychoanalyze Gladys, I think she's got that narcissistic personality, to the point where all she cares about is herself. Because when she came in, she had said that Brando was dead because he was dead to her because he was embroiled with drugs or whatever and his addiction problems. So now that Brando's gone and she has control over Sasha, just the whole point of she looks at what's best for her. Now, again, there's inconsistency there or illogical to the fact where, as a guardian, somebody who has power of attorney over somebody else's finances, you have to account for where that money is spent. You need to keep receipts. You need to, be able to justify where the money goes. I don't know if that's ever going to come into question. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. We don't know. We'll have to see where that goes. But to me, right now, even the scene in the store with Scout, with Sam and Scout, where Gladys kind of was snotty to Scout, and because Scout's like, oh, I need to choose a dress for whatever the occasion was, a dance recital or whatever, and she was trying to choose between two dresses, and then at the end, Gladys goes to Sam, oh, tell Scout not the pink one because it's not her color or whatever. Like that just to me is, that kind of shows just more of that personality that she only cares about herself.
Right. Well, speaking of Scout, though, I thought it was great that Sam and Scout had scenes. We hadn't seen that in like a really long time, if ever, right? I think that was great for the Sam fans. I'm not
Yeah.
a huge Sam fan because, history with a
Right.
certain other man that Sam and Liz shared at one point. But, it's great that they shared scenes. Like, I think there need to be more of Sam and Scout scenes. I think that they should make that a regular thing.
I think they need to have all the parents have scenes with their kids at some point in time because it seems like
Right.
a lot of the kids are off scene. Like we see every so often Elizabeth with her kids, whether it's
Yeah.
rotating in and out, Aiden and Jake or Cam's in college right now, but like, you very rarely see all three boys at the same time.
I feel like Liz talks more about her kids than we see them on
Yeah.
screen. And
Yep.
that's really sad and disappointing because I love to see her boys on screen and I would love to see her have like a phone call with Cameron or
Yeah.
even if it was just like a text and we didn't see him on screen, like just something to show that she's like with her kids. And it's disappointing. But I think the kids, I feel like the kids we most get to see is honestly Joss and Michael and that parent child dynamic. And we don't really get to see any of the other little kids except Violet. Violet always pops up and is the champion, like I said, the champion poster child for like whatever couple she's around. So like
exactly,
right now, champion for like Finn and Liz. And we know, I think we know she likes Chase and Brooklyn together.
Yep.
Which is fine, but I'm just like, there's more than Violet on this screen. There's more children than Violet. Like we know that. And I would like to see more of that parent-child dynamic,
but I mean that's not very dramatic. You can't do a lot with the kids in soap operas, but I mean,
right.
I agree. Violet is there and trying to put Finn and Liz together, and I don't know. There's something about Michael Easton that kind of just sucks all the charisma off the scene. Like if they don't cast him as Batman at some point, I mean, there's going to be some kind of problem with Hollywood. He can make a good Batman, especially with that voice, but he does. I don't know. I can't get into, and I know you can't, but I can't get into the dynamic with Finn and Liz.
I wanted to like Finn and Liz in the very beginning. I thought it'd be great doctor-nurse relationship, which we hadn't seen on screen in a while, but it's just not working. There's a good friendship dynamic there.
Yeah.
It's just romantically, I just don't see it. And he's just crossed too many lines in the past that I just can't. I know they've had him back up. I think the writers kind of heard all the fans on Twitter and were like, okay, we'll have him. Yeah, we'll just have him just not be as like on top of it,
Yep.
and be like as obsessive and make sure he won't cross any lines. But it's just I don't care for it. I just kind of start tuning them out when they're on screen together, and I feel like I would rather see Liz as a head nurse, which is her new job title now.
Right. Yep.
But we're not seeing her in action as a head nurse.
Right.
We're seeing all this stuff with like Finn. And I'm just like, I don't care. I want to see Liz as a head nurse and I want to see Liz with your kids, but unfortunately it's kind of few and far between right now.
Yeah. No, you're not getting like I feel like Finn had before they backed him off was he kind of had that God complex as most doctors do where he can fix anything, which is why he got so involved and crossed so many boundaries with Liz. Even thinking back to Patrick and Robin, Patrick had that God complex too when he first came on. I don't think he crossed nearly as many boundaries as Finn did. But a lot of doctors do have that complex where, oh, something's wrong, I'm going to jump on it and I'm going to fix it. So yeah, I think that he crossed a lot of boundaries. They finally realized it. They backed him up. Maybe they'll try it again. Maybe they'll grow on a lot of the fans. I don't know. But Michael Easton he's a great actor. I'm not taking away anything from him. He just doesn't have the charisma that I think would work well with Liz.
I think the last time I enjoyed him on screen was honestly when he was John McBain. That was
I
the
think so
last
too.
time I really, really, really liked him on the screen. So unless they're going to make Finn into like a vampire, you know, like he was on
Right.
Port Charles, like I'm just not feeling it anymore.
I wouldn't mind, and I wouldn't mind them bringing John McBain back. Like the fact that they have the rights to the character, I don't understand why, with this recent recast of him as Hamilton Finn, why they didn't go back to John McBain. They could have, like, after Silas Clay was killed off, they could have brought him back as John McBain.
I mean, they won that lawsuit.
They did.
Right?
Well, it's
So-
not. They lost the lawsuit, but when Prospect Park went out of business, all the characters reverted back to ABC, which is why they're able to use Jackson Montgomery and
right, and the All My Children stuff with Anna. So
right.
Yeah, I don't know why they couldn't. Because I did like the All My Children characters on there, and I like the One Life to Live characters on there as well. So like the time that I really enjoyed, I'm blanking on the name right now. Not Franco, not Austin, but
Todd Manning.
Sorry. Yes, I like Todd
Yeah.
on screen on GH. I just never cared for after like Franco went off screen as the famous actor
James Franco
left. I was like, why bring him on? I didn't care for it. I've never cared for it. I've never cared for the Franco character. So when we had all those years of Franco, I just didn't. And now with Austin, I feel like it's just Franco 2.0. I just don't care.
There's definitely been a shift in Austin's character. Like when he first came back, when he first came on the scene, he was trying to buddy up with the Quartermains. Now all of a sudden he's working for this mysterious person with his cousin Mason, who I'm telling you, man, that guy is creepy as hell.
Yeah, like he reminds me of Link. It's like how creepy he is, because they look very similar. Those two actors look very similar, which is like really funny. And they really need to flesh that out more to make it like me want to watch Austin.
Like,
but I did really enjoy.
There's just not enough there.
Right, there's not enough there, and if there's not enough there, I don't know where they're really going with that. And I liked that they finally had Austin and Ava like bang. I thought that was great. I honestly thought that was great. And then she was like, okay, you can leave now.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic. And we need to see more of that dynamic between them, because that's what really makes me even excited in the least to watch Austin on screen. So I think they bring like this, they have this like great chemistry between the two actors, and I wish I would see that more. And that's really the only time I really care for Austin on my screen, to be honest, is that pairing. Sometimes it just makes a couple to make one character being tolerable to me.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see where they go with that, because again, we know that Mason is holding Nicholas. So Laura and Kevin and Valentine going off to Czechoslovakia, wherever they went to find Nicholas is going to be fruitless. So when they end up coming back from their hiatus, or it's mainly Laura's hiatus, when she comes back, we'll see how that turns out. But again, we still don't know who Mason and Austin are working for. All that's been referred to is her, or she. Is it Miss Wu? I don't think so. I've heard rumblings that it could have been Olivia Jerome, but she's in the loony bin as far as I know, or in prison. But then there could have, could it be somebody completely different from a different show? Could it be Helena? Back from the dead. There's just too many questions, and I really love the fact that they're questions, but you got to give us something. You got to give us the fact that Nicholas is still alive. Like, we know he was on life support. Is he still alive? I think it's well-known knowledge that Adam Huss is going to stay on as Nicholas. But when will he be coming back? when are they going to at least show us, hey, Nicholas is still alive, or he's being held captive here? You know, we still don't know the why. We don't know the who. It's got to move forward a little bit.
I think my thing with GH is they start so many storylines or so many plots, and then they like drop it because I think it's like they almost like they get too overwhelmed because they have such a bloated cast
Yep.
that they just can't keep up with everything, and then something's fall to the wayside, and then we end up with like unanswered questions like that because they just have too much like going on. Which is why I wish they would just cut down their cast by at least 5 characters, maybe not 10. But it's like they had the storyline last year where they had like the mass murder with the hook. Like
Yeah.
I was hoping you would take out like character after character after character.
Oh, and that hook
because
storyline ended like a fart in church.
it started out great, and I thought we were gonna get some really great like murders off of that, you know, and cut down the cast a little bit, but no. So it's just something that I think GH has. Is just one of my things with GH where it's like it's not something I particularly like that they start things and then they drop it and that we have unanswered questions. So, but whenever that, I'm sure they'll get around to it eventually. It's just not going to be on our timetable.
Right. It's almost like I wish they would kind of rotate the actors out a little bit, give them some, you know, which they normally do, give some people some time off or whatever. But again, I agree, they start too many storylines and they just don't pick up with them. How long did it take with Marshall, you know, finding out that he's not bipolar or he doesn't have the markings for bipolar, or, you know, that storyline there was like dragged on for so long that towards the end nobody really cared. Like, but it all led up to Curtis being, you know, Trina's father. Like that's the whole thing. Like that storyline is also like there's just so much there that, you know, they go so far, then you'll see a couple of trickles here and there to move it along, but then it's back on the back burner. And
they don't have good follow through on GH. That's my problem. They start something really good and the follow through is just not there.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because they just have too many balls they're trying to juggle at the same time. They start too many things, and that can be really, I think, difficult on a soap, and they need to keep it a little bit more simple if they just didn't start as much stuff.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what it looks like in the writer's room. I would imagine there's some kind of board, like here's all the characters and here's all the storylines we started and here's all the storylines we got to like follow through on. You think they would have something like that? I don't know, but maybe it's much more difficult for them than I know about. I'm sure there's some behind the scenes stuff that I don't know about. Maybe they don't follow through on some storylines because of things that I'm not aware of as a viewer.
Right. Which could be based on the actor's availability or the or whatever. So I mean, yeah, it does make sense that, you know, there are going to be some storylines dropped, but it just seems that there's just too many unanswered questions, you know, at a specific time. You know, because when you had like the Greenland storyline that encompassed so many people, that's great. But then coming out of there, we thought that Spencer and Trina were going to have this, you know, honeymoon period. You know, she runs over, she jumps in his arms, you know, she's so happy that he's still alive. They come back and then all of a sudden they're faced with Esme and the single parent garbage, and how now she's trying to, oh, Spencer and I were really sorry about what happened to Curtis, and, you know, how they're trying to co-parent. Spencer should not have ever been putting his nose into that business.
No, he's way too invested in that because he's not the father.
Right.
So unless they're going to make him the father, it doesn't make any sense for him to be this overly invested into raising this baby.
Right.
Like, stop it. You
like,
are
exactly
blocking Sprina from any romantic development, which the fans have been waiting a year and a half for them to kiss, and then they kiss, and then they barely get any kind of honeymoon period. Then they do the whole Greenland thing, and they all get kidnapped on the ship on the Haunted Star, and then they come back, and then, like you said, we get this great scene where they hug and they kiss, and you think, okay, great, we'll get this romantic stuff going, we'll get some first date stuff, we'll get some great dating honeymoon type period action. No, I don't know what it is with General Hospital, because They can't do a honeymoon period for Chase and Brooklyn. They can't do it for Spencer and Trina, and they're just gonna like make us wait and wait and wait, and then it's gonna get more fans agitated and more fans disinterested because
And it's going to
they've
be
been
more,
waiting so long.
and it's going to be more difficult going forward with Nicolas Chavez being on that new Netflix show once that, resumes production. He's not leaving, they're not recasting him, but he's going to be taking an extended amount of time off to go film that. And Tabiana, here's my thing with the whole Spencer and Trina. Yes, it was difficult trying to start what was going to be potentially a quote unquote super couple, having a recast in the middle. All respect to Sydney Michaela for wanting to follow through with her college career and wanting to follow that path, but then you bring in Tabiana Ali. She's not the same kind of actor, in my opinion. Sydney Michaela was, and I may piss off the Sabrina fans, but in my opinion, Sydney Michaela was probably the better Trina. She had more spunk, just a different, or not, I don't want to say better, but a different type of actress.
I mean, I don't.
And that's
I don't
not
want
taking
to say
anything away
one's
from
better than the
Tabiana.
other because, like I said, you are probably going to piss off a lot of Sabrinas out there.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised if they come for you in the mentions because they will. But I think Tabiana is a fabulous actress.
She is.
Chosen to write Trina in a different way than they wrote like
Right.
Sydney's Trina. Like maybe Sydney's Trina had a little bit more like spunk, like you said. But I think I've seen that in certain scenes with Tabiana. They just haven't written it like
haven't
a whole lot.
Right.
And then they let Spencer kind of walk all over Trina a lot. And so finally she did tell him off in that bar scene quite a few weeks ago. But we just don't see that a whole lot.
Right.
And I just wish they did more of Trina going, look, Spencer, if you don't man up and if you don't do ABC, I'm out. Like,
right. Exactly.
We need to see more of that from Trina because Spencer has admitted recently, like, I really don't deserve your daughter. Like to Portia, he's like, I could be a better person. I could be a better man for Trina, and I'm not. And I'm like, yeah, you're not. Like, I'm not seeing enough character development from Spencer for me to really, 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 really root for Sabrina as much as I was hoping for. Because I was one of the Sabrina fans who was waiting a long time too. I do like them, but I also like them under the guise that Spencer was going to be this better man because Trina inspired him to be that.
It's almost like Spencer took a big step backwards into immaturity. Like, I understand he wants to step up for his brother. I get that, whatever. But my thing is like, okay, you're looking at your ex-girlfriend who slept with your father, and I know that seems to be a Cassadine trait because the same thing happened with Nicholas's girlfriend and his father. But like, you slept with my father. That child is not mine. That's my brother because you slept with my father. Like, why would I don't understand how anybody would want to, like, why? Like, that just doesn't, that boggles my mind.
It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because Spencer's relationship with his father was very
rocky.
I don't know what the right word for it is, but it was not good. They were not getting along. He did not even really like his father a whole lot. So like, why would he want to raise his father's child?
Right. Especially with a girl that was
brother.
Especially with a girl that drugged and manipulated your current girlfriend, drugged and manipulated your current girlfriend, famed her for the revenge porn. Like, it's almost like he understands, and he's the biggest enabler of Esme right now. Almost like
100%. It's almost like I expect them to get back together, Spencer.
Yeah.
And it's gotten to the point where I'm like, are you two gonna bang? Because I almost feel like it's gonna go there, and you're gonna forget all about Trina. And it's just weird. It's like a weird dynamic that you've just completely forgotten everything she's done because she has amnesia. She doesn't remember anything she's done, which is another problem I have with GH. Like, Esme was way better as a villain.
Oh, absolutely.
Kept her as a villain, and this amnesia stuff I could buy for maybe a few weeks, like 2 or 3 months. But now they're just dragging it on and on and on to the point where I'm like, the thing that made her character like, fun to watch, like you loved to hate her, was because she was a villain.
Yeah.
I can't really root for her as this like, oh, but I really don't remember anything I've done. I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to turn myself in. But I'm really just like, I'm trying to be a good person now because I don't remember anything I did.
It's almost like they wanted to give her a different character in general, and the only thing they could do was come up with, oh well, we're going to have her lose her memory. Now that Heather and Ryan are both off canvas, that now she doesn't have anybody to have a quote unquote partner in crime. Well, we did see that Heather did come back on canvas this past week. Allie Mills resumed the role of Heather Weber, which got a lot of people on Facebook upset. But we actually saw Esme going to. So here's the thing: I thought that Heather was in Darkham, the asylum, but it turns out she's in Pentonville, and she's allowed contact visits, which in most prisons, for somebody who's been convicted of murder, they don't really, especially after only a few months in prison, after escaping, after killing people, after this, after that, they're not allowed contact visits. But okay, we'll suspend disbelief.
In Port Charles, anything like goes. They make their own rules, apparently.
Well, see, here's the thing that I don't understand. Pentonville Prison, for the longest time, had visiting rooms where you talked through the glass for anybody, no matter what the crime was. Now it seems no matter what the crime was, I can understand Drew having contact visits because it's a white collar crime. Cyrus, okay, I mean, he was convicted of, drug trafficking or whatever the case was for it. But, he's found the Lord and he's been in there for a couple of years now, so he might have earned good behavior to get contact visits. But Heather, after only freshly being convicted of murder and not to mention escaping prison, why would they ever allow her to be around general population and civilians and visitors? So, like, that's a little bit illogical for me, but again, we'll suspend disbelief.
Kind of have to on GH.
Yeah.
Have to roll with it.
Exactly.
I know it doesn't make sense.
So my question now is, will Esme help Heather? Will Esme help Heather escape again? Will she, will she start remembering her past? Because remember, we also saw Alexis go off on her this week and just say, listen, just because you can't remember what you did in the past doesn't mean you didn't do it. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be held accountable for it. And I think, that's going to be the trigger to help Esme get her memory back.
Something better be the trigger, because it's way more interesting to have her as the villain. I would rather something spark in her and be like, oh, this is why I was bad. This is why I like being bad and doing bad things, being a villain. Way more interesting to watch than a girl who's like an amnesiac raising her baby.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, but it's hard for me to care about the baby because I don't care about her.
Right. No, I understand. And just the way that the whole convoluted way that it came about was, Esme, Esme and Nick feeling down about themselves, and Esme knowing that, again, a lot of it just seemed illogical. Like, Esme was manipulated by Ryan to get back at Ava and break up Ava and Nicholas's marriage, because she loved her daddy dearest, which those scenes together with Ryan and Esme, it's like, that was creepy in itself. Like the way that she would, go in, and the first time that we, heard her call him daddy, and like, oh, it's a sugar daddy situation or something like that. No, it turns out she's his, his real daughter, and that's just a lot of it. There was a lot wrong with just a lot of that storyline, and the Esme character in general. Like, she uses her sexuality like a lot of women do, but at the same time, it's kind of misplaced. Like it's at a certain point, it's almost like is as making us start manipulating Ryan, which would have been a good way to go.
Right. Well, they kind of miss a lot of beats on GH, so I just tend to have low expectations a lot of the time when I watch GH because I know that they're probably going to drop the ball on some stuff. They're going to like I'm going to have some ideas that I'm like, why didn't they go this way? Why didn't they, do this? But they don't. So I just kind of have to, accept what I get and go along with the ride, however that pans out.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We also saw Carly go visit Drew in Pentonville, and Drew said that Sonny has protection for him while he's in there. Not to mention Cyrus gave him the shiv, the shank, the knife, that was wrapped in the Bible. And again, we just don't, I don't know. I personally can care less about Drew. I don't. I'm not a big Drew fan. Carly gets on my nerves at times. Like it's hard to be sympathetic for her when she's done a lot of things impulsively, and the reason why she's under the SEC problem is because she impulsively bought all the stock of Aurora. And like I don't like to me, Carly doesn't ever get held accountable. She's the one that made the decision to do it. Drew had nothing to do with it. Drew actually advised her against it. So, like, he's taking a 3-year prison sentence for her problem. I don't.
I mean, I'm not necessarily a big Carly fan, but the thing is, she's such like a iconic, legendary character. If you would say, maybe if some of you agree, some of you maybe not out there. But I mean, like she's always gonna get out of stuff. I feel like because it's her and Sonny, like she's got like the power of the mob boss. Yeah. So she's always gonna get out of stuff. I don't really expect Carly to really pay for any of her crimes. I don't expect Sonny to ever pay for any of his crimes. Same way Jason got out of stuff a few times, but then he did end up in prison quite a few times. But it's not great that like she's not at least getting some kind of thing for it. I mean, she is getting that
$5 million
$5 million she has to pay.
Yeah.
So there is some accountability for her in some ways with money, which obviously she'll find a way around because now I read that she's going to get Kelly's for like $1.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen with that. That'll be really interesting to see how Carly runs Kelly's, because that's kind of like a step down from the Metroport, right?
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see. But I mean, it's okay. Like I'm actually here for the prison scenes because I really actually enjoy when they bring Cyrus on screen.
Oh yeah.
Or as I call him now, Pastor Cyrus. He might as well be Pastor Cyrus because he's always quoting the Bible. And as a Christian, I just find that really hilarious about how they portray that on screen. So I enjoy it. Like I enjoy when we see Cyrus on screen now. At first, I didn't really like him, but now with this whole redemption storyline, like, oh, I found Jesus, I found the Lord. So now I'm going to quote the Bible all the time. Like I just find it really hilarious. So when he's on screen and he's interacting with people, I actually find that great. So I don't really care for Drew either, but I find those scenes really interesting whenever we get to see Cyrus interact with people in Pentonville.
And I like Cyrus too. And I really when I was in the chat room earlier with the 10th floor show, there were people throwing around different ideas about what Cyrus could be doing, if he gets out for good behavior. And could he help out with Christina's, home for the, whatever she's built, focusing on the business that she's starting to help, the LGBTQ community, kids that are, that need the help, or teens or whatever. And, or could he just come back and just start causing chaos and just be that that red herring where he's gonna come out and be all religious and a pastor, but then on the side he's still doing his own shady stuff again. Any of the directions they go, I'm here for it. I think that Jeff Kober is a fantastic actor. Like even when I saw his episode of Law and Order SVU, just amazing. He's a very cerebral type of actor. He almost reminds me of like a younger Triple H in the cerebral assassin, playing the mind games, and just getting in there, getting into his opponent's heads. And it's funny that Sasha imagined Cyrus was the one holding Gladys's hand at the pool instead of Cody, because it's almost to me like, in one hand, maybe it was a vision of the future that he hasn't turned over his new life, but or it could be going back to Sasha's mental break and PTSD. So either way, it could be one or the other.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean more towards Sasha's PTSD mental break.
break,
They're gonna
yeah.
go down that. They're just gonna make that girl suffer. That poor girl.
I know. I feel so bad for Sasha. But hey, we've kind of covered just about anything. Is there any other storylines that you want to talk about that we haven't covered? Oh, well, why don't we kind of go back a little bit and talk about Jackson Montgomery and
Yeah.
Felicia and Lucy going down to Pine Valley, and then Felicia, I swear, as a PI, she's like a bull in the china shop, because she hasn't done anything that I would think would be like a PI. Like there's so many things that were just so obvious in that whole thing, like her coming into the office saying, "Oh well," you saying to the reception, "Oh well, if you have to leave for any reason, I'm okay by myself." Like, how more obvious could you be?
Yeah. Well, maybe she doesn't have the greatest PI skills. Anna can teach her a few things.
Walt Willey, who plays Jackson Montgomery, said it was great playing him again after 12 years or whatever it was. I wouldn't mind them kind of bringing him back for a little bit more of Port Charles. Him mentioning that he was the ex-husband of Erica Kane. I wonder if Susan Lucci is going to make a cameo at some point, because it's all centered around the Deceptor, and centered around the enchantment line of makeup and stuff, and apparently Erica Kane was the CEO of that, or a stockholder in that company at one point back in the day. But I want to see how that's good, because it centers around Martin and Lucy, and how Martin doesn't want to take any credit for the Deceptor, yet he supposedly gave Lucy the idea, and also with him receiving $50,000 a month from one of his ex-wives, there's some shady stuff going on there. And I'm here for it. I like seeing Lucy on my screen. I like seeing Martin. I like seeing a lot of these veteran actors, and especially bringing in the All My Children, crossovers. I want to see how that's going to work out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how that plays out too. It's one of those storylines that I'm not terribly invested in, so I don't pay as much attention to it.
Yep.
But I did like the fact that like Lucy was really trying to seduce, what was it, Jackson? Like, I just found that really, really entertaining. And like, why are you making like oysters and like all this stuff sound so like sexy that they were like talking about food? I was just like, this is so kind of crazy over the top, but I mean, I enjoy it because that's Lucy, and I love how she's always like, well, I'm always prepared to dress for the occasion. Like, that's great. That's classic Lucy. Love that.
Yeah, that's I'm anxious to see where that's going to go. That's still in its infancy stages. We have to see Martin and Lucy more for that to really pick up steam, and to see how that kind of plays off going further. And then okay, so I got to ask your opinion. How about the new NuMolly?
Right. I was going to mention that because I was like, we haven't talked about this yet. So now
Yeah.
there's another recast for
Yes.
Molly, and I'm like, oh wow, we're
And
really
apparently this is
we're
permanent.
trying to see Molly on screen here. I think it's for the sake of like the storyline they're doing with new Christina. I don't know if she's really working for me. I'm not really feeling her that much, and she seems like I've seen a lot of comments on Twitter that she seems very old for Molly.
Yes.
Like she looks very old to be Molly.
Yes. So the character of Molly is supposed to be roughly 25 years old or something. This new actor is 39.
What? I didn't even know that she was 39.
Yes. So I mean, she does look younger than 39. I'll say that, but I could see that. Now, age in soap operas is relative. I mean, we know everybody gets sorest at one point or another. I don't feel that it's right to put because Kate Manzi, who took over the role of Christina's supposed to be 30. Kate Manzi, I believe, is 35. So that's a legitimate type, that's fine. I don't because
Yeah. I think Kate's doing great, by the way.
Oh yeah, I think she came in. She's nailing it. I loved Lexi Ainsworth, but I think Kate is a little bit more mature of an actor and is able to handle the role a little better. Although she's very.
I do miss Lexi. I think she got the shaft a little bit too early. I think she could have pulled off the storyline. I will say, I'm disappointed in GH for that, but that's the route to go. And I think Lexi is going to do great somewhere else, and then she'll show General Hospital that she deserved better than them all along anyway. So.
Right. No, exactly. I think Kate Manzi is killing it in that role. But the new girl, I forgot her name, Brooke Ann Davis, maybe. But she is the new Molly. I a lot of people were saying, oh well, Molly would never wear anything like a crop top or a low cut as this girl did. Or she's just too out there, and I don't know. I think and apparently it's a permanent recast. Apparently Haley Poulos is out, and this new girl is in. I don't know for a fact if they're just giving Molly a shift in the character, like she's acting out because she found out that she can't, we can't have a baby. I mean, we kind of saw it with the last character, Holiday Kriegel, I think her name was, where she was drinking more, like going out and partying or whatever with the girls' night at the nail salon and having all the wine and whatever. Could it just be a shift in the character that the Molly needed? However, somebody did point out that Cameron, who just went as a freshman in college, was actually born before Molly. And Molly is now graduated from law school and is an assistant district attorney. So age is relative in soap operas.
Yeah, it fluctuates according to whatever storyline they want to write, basically.
Yeah,
we'll just take this character this age and throw them in this storyline, and and you just accept it or you don't.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt and give her an opportunity, kind of grow on me, and just see where they take the character of Molly going forward. Will she become? Not that I want to necessarily shame anybody for their sexual lives or whatever, but will she become this person where? Because we saw her act out when she thought TJ just ghosted her, right? And she slept with Brando, and that was the only time that she actually slept with anybody besides TJ.
I really enjoyed Molly on screen. I kind of like when she acts out and she sleeps with other characters other than TJ.
Yeah.
TJ and Molly are just so boring. Like, I
because
feel like
they've been together since high school.
What were you saying?
I said because they've been together since high school.
Right. I don't understand why they never really let them have meaningful relationships with other people. I mean, they do for like a period of time to let Molly be with some other guy for just a very brief amount of time. And then they go right back to TJ and Molly. And I'm like, what? Why? Like, I don't see anyone gunning for TJ and Molly that hard on
Well,
social media for them to have this long of a stretch period of time. Like, I would actually like to see them be with other people.
yeah.
I know overall, I've usually found the character of Molly to be very annoying, but at times I liked her.
Well, she's her
Like,
mother's daughter.
yeah,
She's right off the same block as Alexis, and Alexis could be annoying at times too.
mhm.
You know, because she does, and the thing is, I think that um Molly and TJ have just gotten to that stage where they're almost like an old married couple. Whether they want to call themselves life partners or not, they are an old married couple.
Pretty much at
Um,
this point, and it's just kind of they're not really giving them anything spicy, like
you
any
know, yeah,
flavor. Like, shake them up a bit, have someone
exactly.
have an affair, cheat, something. I need something to make
Yeah,
them like interesting, which is why when they had that whole like TJ and Willow thing, I thought they were gonna like go somewhere there for like a minute, and I was kind of into it. I don't really like Willow either. I think they
yeah,
could also let her go because honestly, there's nothing interesting
uh,
about Willow. Like, she's just sitting there crying about dying and stuff. I'm like, well, just die then. I don't
yeah, exactly.
like. I'm sorry, I don't care anymore. So they got to do something to shake up these characters because
Uh,
otherwise, I just don't really. There's nothing rootable for me there. That I'm not really that invested.
Yeah, like Michael and Willow, in my opinion, is just like Death Valley. There's just nothing there. I liked Michael. I think that I think Chad Duell can do so much more than just being this supportive to his wife because she's got cancer and she's got this. She finally got the stem cells she needed or the bone marrow that she needed, and
Mhm.
she's getting. It's just. And then the scene about taking Paris to her, with Wiley, on the outside of the house, and you know, uh, with the mustache and the hat, and just I don't like. I can understand lifting somebody's spirits and stuff, and that might be something realistic might happen, but at the same time, like they've become very blah to me.
They're very dull
Yeah,
and boring. There's nothing really exciting about them anymore. And I
like
hate to say that because I used to be a Michael and Willow fan, and I did like them for a period of time, but it just they become very stale and boring. And her crying and them dragging on this whole "is she going to die or not" storyline for like an entire year has just made it made it to the point where I'm like, okay, just die
yeah,
then.
I
I
was the
don't
same way.
care about your character anymore. Just die.
I was the same way. I never really cared, like Walsh. Like I liked Willow when she first came in. I thought it was great, new talent, a brand new, person on the canvas. But then she just she's a very hypocritical person. Like she's able to forgive Harmony, who's not even her real mother, who stole her from her real parents, or who stole her from Nina, who's a real mother, and and Harmony being somebody who's actually killed people, and was very shady and got her involved in a cult and sold her for sex to Shiloh. She's able to forgive Harmony and all that, but Nina, she doesn't. Now there's a little bit more there where she wants to allow Nina to be there, but for the
Well, I think eventually they're going to go down the storyline of okay, she's going to forgive Nina, and they're going to be like this big happy family or whatever they want to do with that. I'm not really here for that. I honestly think she's more interesting when she's telling Nina off to her face. That's when she's more interesting to me than just like sitting there crying about dying or trying to save her life. Like, but I think they've just established Michael and Willow as this like couple, and I don't see them deterring from that right now.
yeah, it's unfortunate but true.
And
Well, we've
they're
been
gonna
on.
make Nina be friends with everybody too. Why do they have to make Nina be friends with everybody? That's also my thing. Like, is Nina desperate for friends? She's like in everybody's business. That's
Yeah,
another thing that I don't care for.
well, the character of Nina is kind of one of those people where she seeks acceptance from everybody. I mean, even I still don't understand the whole friendship between Ava and Nina. I mean, Nina kidnapped her baby, and even Sonny being with Nina, like Nina kidnapped Avery, and it's like okay, she wasn't in her right mind or whatever, but yeah, I don't know. There's a lot there that just doesn't logistically go together.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, that whole Sona relationship is kind of based on like lies,
yeah,
right? Like it doesn't have a great foundation for their relationship.
right.
So, I mean, I don't see it lasting a long time because the
No,
second that truth comes out, like it's over.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
over.
It is
Like even though he's not with Carly, he's
right.
technically Sonny and Carly are always kind of that couple that they're
Yeah,
together, whether they're actually together or not, they're together.
yeah,
So once the truth comes out about what she did and called the SEC, like it's over.
yeah. It is. All right. Well, we've been at this for about an hour and a half now. So, before we go, you did have a couple of plugs that you want to do. You're doing something big going on next month.
I do. I mean, I hope people want to attend, regardless of whether or not we share the same opinion about some things on GH. But I did want to do something special for Becky. Becky's 26th anniversary is coming up in August, and I wanted to do something like last year, but I didn't really have the time. But this year, I'm doing a Zoom with my friend Jay at my daytime drama, and we're gonna watch like 26 years of iconic Elizabeth Weber moments, and I still call her Elizabeth Weber. I'm not comfortable calling her Elizabeth Baldwin. Sorry, Nurse Baldwin, whatever. But we're gonna watch 26 like iconic moments. So like all the great stuff, like the first time she was on screen, and her meeting Lucky, and her getting raped, going all the way from like Liz versus Lulu and Liz versus Gia, and like her and Jason together, and then her with like there was that whole Liz and Faith fiasco. Like we're gonna watch all those iconic moments throughout the years, and hopefully have a great time and raise some money for Smile Train. So if you want to give 100% of the profit to Smile Train, you can just use the donate link on my Instagram. It's instagram.com/liaisonradio, and 100% of the profits will go from there. Or you can send me the money. I put a graphic on my Twitter that I pinned. I pinned the tweet at twitter.com/liaisonradio with all the information about where to send the money through Cash Apps, and half the proceeds will at least go to Smile Train if you donate through my Cash App links. And I just want to do that to, celebrate Becky and raise some money for Smile Train. So if you feel like joining us, I hope you do. It's August 12th. It's 12 to 5 p.m. Central. It'll be on Zoom with me and Jay. And I hope we get some fans to attend, regardless of fandom, regardless if you're a big Liaison fan or you're a big whatever fandom. I feel like we should all be able to come together regardless of like
Agreed.
differences of opinions in couples, or whatever other couples would be like. Can we put that aside and we just raise some money for Smile Train? That's just kind of like the main thing, and celebrate Becky.
What is Smile Train?
Yes, Smile Train, which is Becky's like favorite charity that helps children who need cleft palates.
Okay.
So you can look that up. Yeah. And then my other thing was forgetting the other thing I was going to promote. What did I tell you? I'm looking it up. Okay. So, my YouTube channel. So as you know, I edit video. As some of you may know, I edit videos, fan videos, and I'm close to 2,000 subscribers. So that's at youtube.com/user/xcreativechristyx. So if you look up xcreativechristyx, exactly how it sounds. And I spell Christy like Christ with a Y.
I'll put a link down at the bottom as well.
Yeah. So Vinny will link it in the feed for you guys, and come support me. I'm like 47 people away from 2,000 subscribers, which is kind of like a big deal for me. So I really would appreciate that. I make a lot of General Hospital fan vids, but I've gotten into Bold and the Beautiful lately, so you might see some more like Thomas and Hope stuff from me, because I really enjoyed their dynamic. And So check it out if you like soap opera fan videos. I have been making them for a long time. So
All right, fantastic. So go ahead. You might as well just continue. I mean, you shared your Twitter feed, you shared your Instagram. You can follow me at Vinny at the Episode of Suds on Twitter. I mean, and then follow the show on Twitter at Suds SQ Circle Pod. And then you can watch and subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/at Suds in the Squared Circle. Follow on TikTok at Suds_squared_circle. Follow on Instagram at Suds Squared Circle, Suds and Squared Circle. And I'm on Threads on the same thing at Suds and Squared Circle. I have to add that in there too. So many of these doggone social medias to keep up with. And then buy our merchandise, sudsSquareCircle.threadless.com. There's not only Suds in the Squared Circle merchandise up there, but also my previous podcast called The Sports Wire. There's merchandise up there as well, and I'm gonna work on coming up with some more stuff as well. But that's about it for today. Anything else you want to add?
that's it. I hope everyone has a great week.
All right. Well, it's been a great week, and let's go and see where Port Charles goes to next. We're General Hospital writers. Remember, Tuesday starts the writing from the non-union writers. We'll see where that goes and what brings it, where that goes. But you've been listening or watching the Suds in the Squared Circle. Have a great week, everybody.